And we are back with another episode of the Hockey Princess podcast. I am your host, the Hockey Princess. We have Crusty Old Guy once again. Just as a reminder, guys, make sure to hit that like and subscribe on either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Amazon Music, however you watch or listen to us ramble on a weekly basis. Crusty, shall we start where we left off?
I think we should.
Yep. We're going out of order this week, friends.
Oh, shit. Are we
That's
able to do
totally
that?
fine.
Do we have the technology?
We can do whatever we want.
Says who?
Says me. It's my show.
Oh, boy. All right. Sounds good to me. So what are we talking about?
So we're coming up on a big milestone for the Blackhawks, not to be confused with our milestone next week, but the Blackhawks have a pretty big milestone coming up for this upcoming season. We've talked about it a little bit. That's kind of why we're doing Blackhawk lore on a weekly basis. But they have decided that they are going to essentially take Rockford's idea, which Krusty called about a year or so ago, that they were going to do it, that they are doing their own, heritage. It's the Blackhawk version of Ring of Honor that's down in Rockford, where it's a way to honor guys from, the past, being able to honor, all the great dynasty players without putting every single number up in the rafters.
Correct. Hold on. Sorry. I was pulling up other stuff too.
That's totally fine. So
your darn tune it is.
They will be announcing, so it's all fan voted. It's every year they're doing 2 new ones. Is that correct?
That is what I gather.
That is what we gather. So it's one that's like a heritage person, and then essentially one from the Dark Ages or the Dynasty. So it is all fan voted, like we said. We have cast our votes. Some of them were similar. I think I can very much bank on who will be the first dynasty number, just because I really didn't see anybody else but maybe one person that I know cast a different ballot for that. I would also like to say for the Dark Ages and Dynasty, I know that's not the exact name for it, but it's my name for it. They are no longer active players, so that is the reason that you don't see Showtime on there and you don't see Johnny.
Correct. So I've known people that have voted for somebody else, but that somebody else was just his D partner. That's the only other thing that I've heard.
That's fair. We had a Nicholas Jomerson from one of our listeners, which, you know what? Fair. Big fan. A lot of people went with the Duncan Keith for the heritage. There's a lot of Roenick, a lot of Eddie Belfour. I went with Pumpkinhead because as much as he terrified me as a child, guys, I was so scared of him at conventions. I don't think that he gets as much credit by Blackhawk media or the mouthpieces of Blackhawk media. So I thought I'd throw a vote in there.
Well, I'm sure Gramps would like that. We used to call him Pumpkinhead. I'm not exactly sure. We thought his head looked like a pumpkin. And you're not far off base with as far as not getting the recognition. I guess that was one of the reasons why he might not be in the Hall of Fame. Is he was a little bit of a crusty interview.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't play really nice with the reporters and stuff. They just called him crabby. So I think people have taken that out. I would have no problem with anybody voting for Steve Larmer. For me, the voting comes down. I started watching in '88, so there's that '90 team that I'm familiar with, and I'm not really at all that familiar with the early '80s team. So, and I went Roenick just for the fact that he's been on the show, number one, and
Krusty loves Jeremy Roenick.
He's a fan favorite. But there's Belfour, there's Otis Wilson, Al Secord. So there's still a ton of guys you could vote on. I think the voting will be a little skewed. I would assume,
especially for this first one.
Yeah, I would assume as you get like 10 years in, it'll be different. And yeah, I mean, they were just testing it out for Rockford. They didn't know how to quite handle all of this with the amount of fanfare soon that'll be coming with jersey retirements.
Right. And how do you honor all of these players without putting like I said, without putting half the numbers and not creating like a Yankee Stadium thing where half the numbers in existence are already retired?
Correct. So,
You mean in 10 years I get a Ruto acknowledgement?
I don't know if you'll get a Ruto acknowledgement.
He's a Stanley Cup champion. You know how many guys that I could vote for that aren't Stanley Cup champions?
I hear you, but still, it's there's
You
a lot of guys
your vote for one of them
who wasn't a hey. Wow. Don't
give
knock
me
my
some recognition for this man. This one, not that one.
Gotcha. So, but I guess there's going to be a bunch of different things. This is only the beginning of it. I don't know when they'll unveil it. The little bit that I've been told is they'll be doing it like by decades. The one thing I can guarantee you, or I'm pretty darn sure of, is there should be some sweet giveaways next year.
Krusty,
how would you think that? Go ahead and ask that.
Krusty,
why would you think that?
Get your head out of your butt.
Now, Krusty could go out and bring in his box of giveaways from last year, and I will tell you there are 4 things in it. But in their letter to us, they did state that this year they will only be giving me 1 box of giveaways. And that makes me think there's going to be a decent amount of giveaways. And gosh darn it, the Wirtz family will be broke if they give me my 2 boxes for my 2 seats.
Wow.
So I've got to figure you'll have some good stuff coming.
You guys, you know what that means? We get 5 giveaways.
So I would assume there'll be a lot of neat things. I would assume that whole horn celebration at the beginning that we've stole from the Hurricanes and every other team in the NHL will be a big to-do also. I would assume you will be able to get players from whatever decade. Right, from whatever decade you're doing.
I mean, enough of them live in Glen Ellen.
I mean, I would like to see as many as the living captains brought back. And that's just so the goal for all of this is let's start the Dirk Graham healing. Okay. Dirk Graham was not very happy the way he was let go as coach and everything else. And that there still hasn't been a healing. Let's bring that healing in. Let's have a Dirk Graham night. Let's let him pull on the horn and everything else. So let's start that healing process.
Wait, Krusty, should we do Dirk Graham as the lore for this week?
I am not ready for Dirk Graham lore. I wasn't ready for the lore that we went with because I'm still unsure of a couple things. So I needed to research it. And then let's face the facts, Krusty just got lazy and he didn't.
That's fair.
So I said, we still have to talk about all this. Now I know there at least was a special gift for any full-time season ticket holder. Now they say it's just supposed to be for full-time season ticket holders, but I'm pretty sure they're going to stick it to me on that too. But we'll find out during the season if Jamie is actually gets something that is just for us, but we will see. But it should be a year-long celebration. They did state, kind of the reason why it was a little low-key this year is they're all ramping up for this one. It is a big deal. It's also one of the reasons why I'd like to see a little bit more of a competitive team. That building will be full, but you'll have a lot of older people that aren't going to tolerate some certain play. So you might want to give them something to look at, but I think they're going to be able to do it upright. There's a lot to work with there. So I think that's about the gist of it. As far as my voting is, I said I went with Duncan Keith and Jeremy Roenick.
I went with Larmer, yeah, and I went with Duncan too. As much as I do love Nicholas Chalmerson, I'd be very surprised if Dunk isn't the first one in, just because, like I said, out of everybody that took their screenshot and posted it on Twitter, 90% of them had Duncan Keith in them.
Yes. So I don't know how that'll work with Dunk. I would assume you don't honor him until like the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
They have stated that they will not be retiring a number this year. But
If you're going to do one.
But I would assume this here, I'm giving you a little help, everybody here in the Blackhawk organization. Towards the end of the year, there'll be an announcement from someplace in Toronto. With said announcement, one of our players will probably get an induction call. So maybe after that call, you then have him out there to ring your horn and then state that his time is coming next year. Just a little help for everybody. That's the way I would work it if you want to employ me. I don't work a lot of hours, but I have great ideas. I talk a lot. I accomplish very little. That's what my woman says. Anything else we want to talk about this?
No, I think we should get to the big Blackhawk news.
There's big Blackhawk news?
Guys, Krusty's got to have opinions.
Oh, Krusty's got opinions.
Well, I'm going to start off because I guarantee
I don't know why you think everything from me is negative, and why even on our pre-broadcast you've got to tell me, I don't want you just to be sitting out there and bashing people. And trust me, I caught that. Bashing. Yeah, I saw what you did there. That was genius.
Guys, Jeff Blashill is the new Chicago Blackhawks head coach. Was announced quite literally right after our episode dropped. With that, we also have the announcements of Anders Sorensen staying on in the assistant coach position for Chicago, as well as Michael Pekka as one of the assistant coaches. And then you also have Vellucci's name very much swimming in the mix as well. Anybody who's listened to this show knows that we weren't necessarily on the Blashill train. Our guy was Todd Nelson. That being said, I'm interested. I'm interested to see how this works. I'm not going to sit in the Debbie Downer negative Nelly position from the jump because, there is a difference. On paper, there is a difference between bringing in Luke Richardson and bringing in Anders Sorensen versus bringing in Jeff Blashill. No matter what the result was for him in Detroit, he does have head coaching experience in the NHL where the other two do not. Whether it was good or not, I do care, but I don't care in the context of this. I would have been a bit more concerned and a bit more angry, I think, if Kyle had gone out and grabbed another head coach with zero NHL experience. So I'm at least a little happy about that. I do think his time down in Tampa has got to help, because as much as I'm not the biggest fan of John Cooper, he is one of the biggest coaches in the NHL. And, you can't learn nothing being in the room with him as much as he was for 3 seasons.
Big as in size, or? I'm just curious. You said that one of the biggest. I was wondering if this was a height thing, or. Sorry, I just wanted to get my microphone in there for a second. Okay, go on.
You're so weird. But yeah, I'm intrigued. I thought he talked the talk in the initial interview, similar to what our GM really likes to do every year during the off season. I'm not immediately hopping on the hype train, because also as a Blackhawk fan, I have just learned to not believe powerful men in this administration until I actually see results. But I'm not going to sit in the negative Nelly Debbie Downer position being like, this is a bust, screw him, it's all ruined. Ask me in a couple of months.
All right, I will ask you in a couple months.
What are your thoughts, Krusty?
Oh, what are Krusty's thoughts? Krusty's thrilled. Number one, I thought Krusty I had no desire to listen to the interview, but figured it was my duty if I am going to be on this show. And I'm not gonna lie, I fell asleep during it. It happened. It's the same usual talk, blah, 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 blah. I really liked KD, thanking Danny for his input. And that's frightening, because if you're getting input from Danny Wirtz, that's not good. But I'm sure that's just...
Because we saw at the Winter Classic, he doesn't watch hockey.
Yeah. So there wasn't a lot of... With that being said from KD.
Which makes me think he wasn't there. It must have been a robot.
It could have been a robot. Are we allowed to... We're allowed to mention other podcasts, right? On this show, or do we not talk about anybody else?
You can mention other podcasts. You just can't be mean.
Okay. Well, the boys had Bashel on today. Now, I caught a little glimpse of it. Boy, I am on the worm on the hook, fish line and sinker. I'm on board. In a 2-minute period, he said everything that I wanted to hear. So, number one,
maybe he would have said that earlier if you didn't fall asleep.
No, I don't think he didn't say it in the interview. There wasn't a ton of really good questions. This was Krusty's main concern. It was asked by them, I'm sure through me constantly badgering them about it. But he meant it was asked about accountability. And his answers were beautiful.
Yeah, I did hear that. I also liked his answer. I don't know if it must have been during like the press conference, because I didn't catch the one that CHGO had later in the afternoon, because I listened to them at the crack of dawn this morning, about when Blashill was, talking about the things that Bedard needs to work on, but formatted it more like, most top guys at that age, it's things that they need to work on.
Yeah, well, this was more about, it was about accountability. And he said accountability is the way you set all of that up is through ice time, which Krusty loves to hear. The way he put it is, we don't preach the poke and hope, which I thought was brilliant. I've never heard it called that, but that's basically the way the Blackhawks played last year. You kind of put your stick in there as you're trying to go past them, and you hope that you hit the puck and can go the other way. Well, as any hockey person will tell you, that's a terrible way to play hockey. So his saying thing was, that's unacceptable here. So if that happens a couple times, you're going to miss a shift. He's like, I'm not going to bench you. You're not going to sit out a game, but I'm going to get your attention during the game. And that's exactly what I want to hear. His other big thing is power play goes to the best people, but hey, it's a reward system. So, if somebody's just playing better, they're going to move up to PP1 then. Or if it's even in game, he might do it. Another thing that I am dying to hear. So for me, I am completely on board. He's got a history with Sorensen, and he really likes them. There is something to be said for the continuity aspect of coaching them for a little bit. Peck is a heck of a coach. And if they get that other guy, I even did homework on him, the Velocini,
Vellucci.
Lucci? Another guy. Bashel is a winner at AHL level, junior level. This guy right here, a winner at AHL level with the Checkers, a winner at junior level with somebody else. Yes?
And can I say that Vellucci does, I mean, yes, because he's a winner at the AHL level, but a lot of the younger guys that you're seeing in the Carolina Hurricanes right now, I know that they're down 3-1 in the series, were coached by Vellucci down in Charlotte.
Yeah. So he spent the last couple of years on Mike Sullivan's staff, who is a top 5 to 10 coach in this league. You've got Bash, who's just spent 3 years on one of the top 5 coaches in this league. This all bodes extremely well. This is what we want to hear.
I'm just glad that they hired new people.
Yes, I'm very glad that they hired new people, but this is a core of winners. Okay? Winners that right now are telling me that accountability will be coming into the dressing room.
And I, like I said, will believe it when I see it.
Well, I will believe it when I see it also, because I need to see when Nick Foligno does it that you take away a couple shifts from him.
Right.
When the Beacon of Hope does it, you take a couple shifts away from him. Okay? Because you're going to have to do it to those people where that's not going to look good.
Right. I think we've just had a couple of times where, and the past 2 coaches have held, I want to say less than 50%, and maybe 5 people on the roster very much in particular held them accountable, and some other people very much got to go off scot-free.
Yeah, I think it was done more in a way kind of like public humiliation.
Oh gosh, yes.
And not a holding somebody accountable, but then giving them chances.
Exactly.
It was weird. The punishments that were handed out was in a very dysfunctional way.
Well, and it gave the fans, me included, an idea of behind the bench has no idea what they're doing. It gave you don't know what to do, because I'm seeing Seth Jones, Philip Kurashev, and Lucas Reichel be held to a very different standard than Nick Foligno, Connor Murphy, and others.
Yes.
And so as a fan, I'm just thinking, oh, my head coach just doesn't like these kids.
Yeah, I don't know that much about Seth. I do know the other 2 kids. It seemed like when things were going bad, it was like an eeny meeny between those 2. And that's who we were going to public humiliate. But it never got into anybody else. Shifts were never taken away except for Lucas and Kurashev. So it was dysfunctional. As I said, the hard part of this is you have to do it to your veterans and you have to do it to your kids, and it has to be equal. I mean, it's not that difficult. You know when people are taking the easy route.
Yeah.
If I can see it from my seat, darn well any kind of coach can see it. But to implement it is where it takes some stones. He's been around for a while. He's grown on me just a little bit. I am all in on him. I would like, you're the t-shirt girl, so I'd like Bash and Pop t-shirts. We'll get maybe a picture of Bashel, and maybe the Pop will be Bedard. And we'll have t-shirts that say Bash and Pop. And for your listening audience, nobody will know what Bash and Pop means. Okay? Except for no one. But,
come on.
Me and George Wendt.
They're not that obscure.
Well, they are pretty obscure. Me and George Wendt have 2 things in common. The late, great George Wendt. Number 1, we were both big Replacement fans, which is a band out of Minnesota. And after they broke up, one of the band members, Tommy Stinson, came up with a band called Bash and Pop. And I'll show your listeners the other thing that we have in common is this. If you can see what that is. That's right. George Went and me were union brethren. He is an IBEW Local 9 guy. That is his helper's permit. I just had to work that in somehow.
Well, all right then.
I think I've completely derailed everything. So
Shocker.
you want to try to wrap this up and get us going again?
Well, we've got some more Blackhawk stuff.
We do?
We've got worlds. We're world champions. Frank Nazar is a world champion. But whoever that silly head coach is at Worlds, not letting Frank Nazar take the shot and you let Connor Garland do it, that was just silly. But anyway, we're world champions. And everyone knows now how good Frank the Tank actually is.
Yes, and our guy was also coaching that team that we're hoping is on our staff. So, yes, the only reason I wanted it brought up was because of what Zach Rowinski did. So,
Yes.
So Zach Rowinski, once they had won, went straight off the ice into the locker room to grab a Johnny Gaudreau jersey that they then celebrated with their little cup. So that's the reason why I wanted to bring it up. Not that much about Frank. I understand that he's played really well. He's going to be, on the small sample size that we have, a face of this team.
Yeah.
You know, as we've talked about, I don't know what
C off of 17. Give it to the Tank.
That would be fine by me. But he does everything that we want. What Bashel is talking about, what he wants, how he wants them to play, is the way Frank Nazar plays. But it's not Frank Nazar's job to police the area. That's Bashel's job. That is way too much to put on somebody like Frank, even though I think he already shamed a couple veterans at the end of the year of how to play. But America Gold, first time in 92 years. So,
yeah, very wild, very awesome. Yes. Let's see.
Yeah, let's see.
We've got another very quick, jumping to another league real quick before we jump back into the NHL. The PWHL season's over, and once again, Minnesota wins. Once again, Kendall Coyne is a winner, and I will say it once again for the people in the back. Maybe this is my plea to Blackhawk management. How do you have Kendall Coyne on your payroll and you won't give us an exhibition game in Chicago? That sounds like some BS. It's easy. It's so easy. You don't have to have a team because I know you're too chicken to do it. But Kendall's right there. Just bring the Frost to the United Center and it would be great.
Well, good luck with that.
One game.
My question for it is, Kendall Coyne's playing hockey. Mark Eaton's coaching in Rockford. That's like half our player development group. What are we actually doing here? Okay, get that act together also. I mean, there's no way Kendall can be doing a lot of player development when she's trying to win championships in another league.
Right, but Kendall isn't even like one of the major people in player development.
She's still one of the pieces.
Yes.
So I need other pieces.
And for that, I say, what is Brian Campbell actually doing?
He's not on developmental. He's an assistant GM. He's a redhead, so he's in. I don't know exactly why, but you know. Sorry.
Anyway. Go Kendall. Chicago, give us a PWHL exhibition game.
Yeah.
I promise. Maybe not Krusty, because Krusty would absolutely hate it. Not for the women playing hockey, but Krusty just hates fun so much during hockey games.
Yeah, Krusty's trying to get better at it, but
we just need to specify it's not that, it's women playing hockey because you like women playing hockey. You like women's Olympics.
I do. There's there's some cute women players, let me tell you.
But it's because Krusty doesn't want sing-alongs and friendship bracelets and
I do not.
things.
I do not. I want my whole focus to be on the game down there. Krusty's being left behind in these days. I will definitely agree with that. I understand everybody having fun, but yeah, the sing-along just drives me nuts.
Go to the
I got to hear about that guy with the car in the front yard. Trust me, I know people had the car in the front yard. They weren't singing happy songs.
And on that note, jumping back into Krusty's world, we've got playoff hockey to talk about.
We sure do.
Can go with the fun side, we'll save the not fun side for a second.
Okay.
So the fun side.
There's a fun side and a not so fun side?
Well, Florida's up and Edmonton's up. The fun side is obviously Florida being up. And the not fun side is I have way less Finnish hockey players to watch if tomorrow does not go my way.
True story.
Fun side. Guys, Tomo Ruutu's 1 game away. He says run it back. 1 more. And by the time this episode comes out, he may have already been going to the finals. We don't know. Because the game just started. Maybe it hasn't started yet.
Nah, they don't start till like 15.
It hasn't started yet. Florida's playing Florida's game. They've all of a sudden just, I don't know if it was just needing to pass Toronto, or you kind of even saw at the end of the game 7. But Florida is so 110% dialed in to playing Florida's game. And it's very exciting to watch.
It is. The thing that everybody is saying is machine-like. Because everybody knows what they're supposed to do. You watch that team and you watch how the forwards all come back into their zone to help out their defensemen. Everybody knows where everybody is going to be at any certain time. That's a veteran team that plays the same way all the time. I mean, even Maurice even said some of this was in place before I even got here. Now they're just perfecting it, and they've added pieces that are fitting perfectly into the way they play. Pieces
that play 23 minutes on the back end.
Yes, I'm still fighting with people about the whole Seth Jones thing, but oh well. I've decided that keeps my angst up at the gym, so I'm able to get a good workout in. So it's helpful. But Marchand's been perfect for them. Reinhart right now is out. I don't know exactly how much longer. He's in tonight, so
I believe so. Could be wrong.
With all of that being said, I am a big thumbs up to Carolina for not rolling over. They didn't get swept, so they finally broke the streak of 14 games in the Eastern Conference Finals without a victory. I don't know what happened to them in Game 1 and Game 2. I don't know. But they became somewhat passive. The last game, they brought it.
Maybe it was after Game 3 and Rod went to the press being like, Jordan Stahl and Martineau can't be the only 2 players that are showing up on a day-to-day basis. Maybe that gave them the kick in the tail.
It's very possible. Brent Burns, I thought, played a phenomenal game, and I was wondering where the heck he was. So I am unsure. You are right now. Oh, you were frozen for a second. You scared the bejeebies.
But we're back.
Whew, a little pee came out. Will Carolina be able to win one at home? Gosh, I hope so. I'd like
to be really cool if Carolina could just win 4 in a row. Not that I would want it to happen, because then that means less Tomo Ruutu. But
yeah, Yeah, but that
who hasn't had hockey in like over a month. I like chaos.
yeah, but I just don't see the Bob allowing that to happen.
No, man's playing out of his mind.
Yes, I did like Maurice's comments about the last 2 goals that went in, where he
Absolute shit.
he didn't like Bob's gap or whatever. He said it, and well, Bob wasn't in; it was an empty netter. That Maurice never stops to amaze me. He's a funny dude.
Yeah.
Aho got an empty net goal that was given to him by one of his teammates, is to just say, we understand what you're going through. Aho is their best player. So when they fall apart, which they've done every year at some point in time in the playoffs, he's the one who takes the brunt of it. And he's had a bullseye on his back this whole series. They've all been coming after him. So, and Freddie Anderson with a great game. I believe this is just a hiccup in the Florida machine. They're ready. Unfortunately, it seems like the other team on the other side is ready. So we should be starting up the Cup Finals halfway soon.
Now to the unfun portion
Did
of
you?
the playoffs.
What about that segue? Just
It was a beautiful segue, Krusty.
Thank you. If I had somebody to high five, I would. I'm gonna high five the garage and the tree.
You're not gonna high five me.
You're on my other side. You got to go the other way.
No, you're on this side.
Really?
Yeah.
You're on the other side on me, so I guess I could do it on you, but I don't know how this actually works. On my screen, you're over there.
Okay, do the other way. Just
This
do
way?
it. Yeah.
All right, that was pretty creepy. Not gonna lie.
The unfun portion, guys. Edmonton's up 3-1 in the series. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Mainly because I do like Dallas. I think the kids have played great, and it's just unfortunate that they've run into Edmonton when Edmonton's decided to get their shit together. And because I really just don't want to watch Corey Perry anymore. I'm done. I tapped out a while ago. I mean, I never really tapped in, but I'm done with it. I'm done. Although I would like another Corey Perry versus Sam Bennett. My money's on Sam Bennett, future Blackhawk, any day of the week. But I don't like it.
Yeah.
Dallas, come back.
Unfortunately, that's a hill that's too much to climb. We said at the beginning of the series, that was my take. Even though I took Edmonton with Stuart Skinner, you're going to put all your eggs in the Stuart Skinner basket. Obviously, he heard that too because he's been lights out. Without the way Stuart Skinner played last night, they don't win. No way. Dallas outplayed them most of that game. I'll give credit where credit's due. A great game by Corey Perry, being Corey Perry.
No,
He got one interference penalty against him. He had an interference play on the first goal that could have been called. He also got drilled when he was giving another interference. But that's part of the game. You act like you're just nonchalantly going to areas setting picks. He had a goal. Hyman went out. Hyman will not be back. I am positive he broke his wrist. That was almost looked like Kirby Doc. And he skated straight off, and the news today is he will have surgery and he is done. So I would assume he broke a wrist or a thumb or something.
Right.
Perry picked up, at least for that game, the slack. That can't last because it would be just too much for him against a Florida team. But I will give my props to Corey Perry. I'm not a fan, but he was noticeable in that game. And I don't know what you do if you're Dallas. They've brought most of the play and they've had the door shut on them by a better goaltender. And I would have never
I
thought
hate
that.
that sentence.
And I would have never thought that way in a million years. And also, finally, Edmonton has understood the importance of shutting people down. They finally figured out that in the playoffs, especially after you go a couple of rounds, the objective is not to get that extra goal. It's to just put pressure down at the other end and see what happens. But you shut it down. You make it impossible for them to get in the zone. And they put on a clinic in the third period. So I'm hoping Dallas can get it together a little bit. But Wyatt Johnson, where are you? Just too many people who aren't scoring. The Moose has definitely been caged and put in a zoo. You see what I did there? Moose, caged, zoo. God, I'm on a roll. So don't look good for them either. As I said, I would assume by the weekend, they'll give them the weekend off, and I would assume we start up Monday or Tuesday, unless they want to give them a full layoff until the following weekend to get them on a Friday and Sunday schedule. I don't know. So, but Edmonton's road just got a little bit more difficult because Hyman's a big part of their team.
Yeah, and because they got to go play against Seth Jones.
Yes, they do. So, and for Meathead Nation, this is the question. This is a huge one. Who do you not want on the cup more? Stan Bowman, Seth Jones. Stan Bowman, Seth Jones. Meathead Nation, put in your vote.
Well, we're going to have to throw that question out.
There you go. I'm just giving out material. This is all for free. I don't charge. Okay? Because money doesn't rule everything as much as people think it does.
Says the retired man.
It's about the love. It's about the love. Remember that.
All right. Well, jumping back to Blackhawks. We have Blackhawk lore.
Blackhawk lore?
Blackhawk lore.
I didn't do any Blackhawk lore.
I have Blackhawk lore because I'm talking about what I told you about. When Chris messaged me a couple of hours ago saying, we don't have lore this week. I didn't do research. And so I thought on the L about what should we do, because I'm too stubborn to not do it for a week. Guys, there's a reason we're coming up on our 2-year next week and we haven't stopped since we started. It's because I'm stubborn.
True story.
But this Blackhawk lore is not, it is about the team, but it's not about hockey directly. It's about one of my favorite things. And because it's my show, gosh darn it, I can talk about it. And this is the Palace Grill. It's a tiny little diner down the street from the United Center. Opened up in 1938, is no longer open because of a fire that happened a couple of years ago. But guys, it was great. You could eat before the game. Players would go there. Coaches would go there. It was owned by a very, very lovely man named George, who we still see sometimes throughout the United Center in whatever bougie area he's in.
Yes, coming out of his 100-level seats.
Good for him.
I hear you.
If you have the ability, as much as I'm a 300-level purist, if you have the money to be in the 100 level regularly, good for you. As long as you don't act like a Toronto Maple Leaf fan, we're all good. But guys, it was great. I spent many a pregame there, ate many a grilled cheese because that's all I would eat there is grilled cheese and fries and a whole lot of mustard. It was just a lovely spot. Usually they weren't open in the evenings. It was kind of just like a breakfast lunch thing, but they were open up for games for a long, long time. And then they didn't when the tank happened, but that was fine. We still went in the morning. And then, like I said, a fire happened. It's temporarily closed according to Google, but it will not reopen. It's very sad because I loved it. I spent many a birthday morning there. Got some ice cream on a waffle. It was delightful. So, as much as we plug our other restaurants, like our new favorite taco place, the Palace was the OG for pregame food with Krusty and I.
Well, it wasn't the original OG. I'm going to let your listeners know, number one, that
Well, the
we weren't
sandwich in
going
the
out to eat
Dodge was
every
the
day before
OG.
games. Okay? That's not the way this all started. It's not. Sorry. I was on financial letdown through most of my life. We were able to get tickets, but we ate sandwiches on the way downtown.
I'm well aware. I'm talking out to eat. That was the OG. I know full well that we spent many a year, most of the dynasty, eating sandwiches.
That's right.
Oh, what was the meat of choice?
You were a summer sausage girl.
I was a salami, cheese, and mustard, which everyone found absolutely disgusting, but I loved it.
Yes, and I
In
would
a root beer.
and I would do myself usually a turkey and Swiss. So I don't want people thinking I'm all going out, blah blah blah. But we were able to go to the Palace for a good chunk of time and had a really great time with the cooks. Who it was a beautiful atmosphere. George is a huge Blackhawk fan. There is lore going back to I believe it was the 92 team, 91 or 92 team, who after they got eliminated, Chelios went and opened up the place, cooked for everybody at like 5 a.m. That group had a very bizarre thing of when they got knocked out, those boys went ape crap all night. And there was people with their cars in the driveway, in the front yard and everything. I believe there was an Eddie Belfour, something that happened to him. So, but that's one of the classic ones is Chelios going, getting the keys and opening up and cooking for everybody. So, and George just going, yeah, fine.
Well, yeah, because what are you going to do? Tell Chris Chelios no?
Exactly. And also, Johnny's Ice House is right across the street. So they had practices there and everything else. So just a great hockey feel. Place that, yeah, I definitely miss. I enjoyed seeing everybody there. And then we started seeing like regulars of just people we would meet there to eat. And that's all part of the fun of all of this.
Yeah.
So
that's our Blackhawk lore for the week. Just an
because Krusty's
institution.
leaving. Yes.
My favorite institution. Guys, I ate so much grilled cheese there. Grilled cheese isn't the same. You can try, but it's not.
No, and I would always have just the Palace burger. It was delicious. I would feel very full, worried that I was going to fall asleep.
On French bread, cooked medium, grilled onions.
Yep.
I hate that I still remember that, guys. It's been years, but I heard that for like 9 years of my life.
Yep. It was a very good time. I'm sad that it looks like George will not be able to get that place going again. Oh well, it's enough of a divey place that fits into my comfort zone. But you know, what can you do? It's on to the taco place, which is a little smaller, but they are also people that we are getting to know.
Yes, absolutely. Krusty, you got anything else this week?
God, I thought I did.
I thought you were going to have more feelings. I was going to have to talk you down from the head coaching thing.
Oh no, I'm on board. I am a Bash and Pop fan. I'm hoping he delivers. I think he will. But you know,
Carolina's up by 1.
Proof is in the pudding, as they say in the business. So we will just see. The only other thing I wanted to point out was Dallas. That big ape, I don't want to call him an ape. The big guy they've got in their defensive pal, the Bischel.
Okay, I showed you him and you rolled your eyes at me. I'm taking credit for Leanne Bischel.
She's taking credit. Wow, you can't just take credit. Not
know,
when I'm giving credit. You had your chance to credit and you didn't. I give credit,
credited
now you want to
to
take it.
you in a conversation, and you were like, "Yeah, whatever."
When was this conversation? Do you have video of it?
No,
But getting back to him, he has played really well.
we were at Mother's.
My mother's?
At Mother's.
Mother's?
Yeah,
When were we at Mother's?
watching Florida and Toronto.
At Mother's.
Yes, or Mother Hubbard's.
Yes, Mother Hubbard's. Mother Hubbard's and Mother's are two different places.
They're the same. That shows you how little I go out in River North.
Exactly. Mother's is on Division. It was a hot spot in the 90s.
Okay, Mother Hubbard's.
Yes. Okay.
That's where we were.
I didn't mean to roll my eyes at you then. His play has been great. He is catching a lot of abuse from the Edmonton players about his duck and cover with the Corey Perry. And what that tells me is he has gotten underneath their skin and he doesn't even engage, which is exactly how you want to play against certain players, like a Trent Frederick, like a Corey Perry. Just don't even acknowledge them. You know, he knows he's 6'4" and can pound either of them into submission.
Yeah.
But he just walks away. So, been impressed with him. So that's my final thought.
All right. Well, guys, we talked about it a little bit, but we're going to say it again because it's my show and I can do what I want. Guys, next week we have our anniversary, Krusty.
Our anniversary?
Yeah.
What's that?
It'll be two years next week.
2 years of doing this?
Yes.
Boy, I haven't aged more than a day. Go on.
True that. So yeah, it'll be a fun one. We'll have to have some fun stuff to talk about next week. But yeah, we're famous Rutu.
There's Rutu. Just so
what
everybody now can see.
Years. We get a Rutu cameo.
Yes, yep.
Rutu.
She's a wonder dog. Okay, go on. Sorry. Just trying to speed bump.
Just a fun thing to look forward to next week. It's the anniversary episode.
Will there be cake?
I'll probably buy cake, but I don't
know. Ice cream?
Get cake. Oh, we always have ice cream. I have like 3 things of ice cream in my fridge.
I don't have any ice cream.
That sounds very difficult. Sounds like a very difficult life.
Well, you know, I'm into self-punishment occasionally. There's a lot of bad things that go around in this crusty head. We don't have time for this.
And on that note, guys, just as a reminder, make sure to hit that like and subscribe on either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, or however you watch or listen to us ramble on a weekly basis. That is all, and we will talk at you guys next week.